Good evening, afternoon, night, morning, whenever you find a way to watch this podcast. It is me, Omar Sean Borja, the Burger Popper, coming with another week of the Race to the Lambert Trophy podcast with my good friend Bobby Wilson of the TNT College Football Podcast. And man, we're just going on about just the week it was for Northeast college football. I mean, there's a couple of thrilling games. Just really eventful week as always. But Bobby, how's everything going?
Going well, Omar. Both my teams won this weekend, so I'm very happy with the results that transpired for me personally with UConn, and then of course the Detroit Lions. So I'm great.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for me, I guess my team's been 1-1. I'm not as much of an NFL guy anymore, but hey, the Niners are 3-0. Mac Jones. I mean, I
Hmm.
love Mac Jones for the memes, but I mean, he's winning games, so I'm happy. But I mean, yeah, I'm not as much of an NFL guy, but I mean, yeah, Army. It hurt, but it's okay. That's what happens when you love your teams. They hurt you a bit sometimes.
That's true.
So I guess that may or may not be a sneak peek to one of our disappointments of the week that we usually go through. But so Bobby, we'll just go first with the rankings. First, so we'll reveal our rankings first. So okay, there we go. Since if I forgot. So for your rankings, Bobby. So you have Penn State at number one, Navy at number two, Syracuse, the big riser at number three. Win against Clemson was good, but I'm not sure how much that's worth anymore. Sadly, I mean, but it is Clemson. I do think that's their first time that they've beaten Clemson since they've been in the ACC. Have to do some research on that because it seems like the first time.
They
Rutgers
won
at
at the Carrier Dome a couple times. I've
okay, that
heard
makes
at
sense.
least once. At least once.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. It must have been like 2021 or something. Yeah, I'm not even gonna guess. Not even gonna guess. Um, Rutgers at four, Delaware at five. Delaware is still, I mean, a very pleasant surprise. They had an impressive win against
Yes.
FIU. I mean that one, Conference USA. Talk about another conference that's tough to predict the bowl picture. West Virginia at six, and I know that one's tough because you had asked me. We're talking about ranking West Virginia above Pitt, and I still think we're at that point of the year where head-to-head results matter. But man, they looked awful against Kansas, as you let me know because I had not watched that game. Pitt at seven, UConn at eight, Army at nine. This one's a bit surprising to me, just given the way things have gone. Army at nine, Temple at 10. I was quite impressed with Temple. Honestly, at times against Georgia Tech, they were more competitive than I thought. Buffalo at
Hmm.
11, Boston College at 12, and then UMass at 13. So going back, Bobby. So what which team was your most pleasant surprise? We'll start off positive. Which team was your most pleasant surprise this past week out of all the Lambert Trophy eligible teams?
We got to talk about Syracuse. I think that's just an impressive win. Yes, Clemson is not what we all thought they were going to be. But to go to Death Valley and just be in complete control the entire game, go through a long rain delay and continue to just dominate that football game the way that they did, very, very impressed by them. And just the things that you keep hearing about from Fran Brown in the media and such. I mean, he's a guy that you want to root for. He's what's right in the coaching profession. I hope someday he wins a championship. I really do. I think he's just a great coach. He seems to be just a great man as well. Really, really, really love and watching his teams and listening to him speak and watching him coach as well. Obviously, moving forward, they lose Angeli at quarterback with a torn Achilles. Stinks to see that because they were playing some really good football. And they could have made some noise in the ACC, and that's not to say that they still can't. But it gets a little bit harder when you lose your QB1. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's for certain. I mean, it will be interesting to see how they go forward. But yeah, like you said, with going into Death Valley in general and beating Clemson, I don't care what year it is, always a tough task. And yeah, like Fran Brown too. Like I saw the press conference about him keeping Angeli involved in the program because I know it's easy for
Hmm.
guys to slip between the cracks after a tough injury. So yeah, I'm impressed with Syracuse. Honestly, like that win is kind of reminiscent for me. I think of 2018 when they beat Florida State in the Carrier Dome, where it's like I still feel like a lot of people don't feel like Syracuse and Pitt have, I guess I want to say, like arrived in the upper echelon of the ACC. And I think wins like that when you're beating, Miami. I mean, maybe not so much Miami because Miami's really struggled too, and they haven't been the U since joining the ACC. But wins against Clemson, wins against Miami, um, which yeah, it's clicking me now. They did beat Clemson in 2017. How could I forget that was the other time they beat them? They were literally
Hmm.
number 2 in that game. I don't know why I just thought about that, but yeah, times when they beat teams, like when they beat the upper echelon, no matter what the year is, I really think that helps with their reputation in the ACC in terms of national perception too. And I think Fran Brown is just constantly changing that.
Absolutely, and I think he's just the right man
Yeah,
for that job. Again, I don't know if he long term. We don't need to talk about what could happen for him moving forward, but I think he's just a coach on the rise that can
yeah,
really do some great things moving forward.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, just unique too, unique style too. I mean, you can tell he's a
Hmm.
very
Yeah.
very fire and brimstone coach. I know. After that UConn game. I mean, we both know it well. Just of running sprints after the game. So he's very
Yep.
very old fashioned. It gets in a good way.
I respect it. I respect it.
Yeah, yeah. I don't honestly like. I mean, I do too. Like that's a very very ballsy thing to do. With everyone
Hmm.
watching. So going on to the more negative side, Bobby, what team disappointed you the most this past week out of the Lambert Trophy eligible teams?
To me, it's got to be West Virginia. I mean, laying an egg after you beat Pitt, your arch rival. It certainly looks like they threw all their eggs into beating Pitt. That was their Super Bowl. Um, Kansas just did whatever they wanted to do against West Virginia, and I know I have them at 6 this week, but it's really just because they beat Pitt. The head-to-head still has to matter at this point. Another loss, say they lose to Utah this week, they're plummeting down the rankings, at least in my rankings personally. But just to see the performance that they put on after getting a big win is disheartening.
Yeah, I would agree. I was even surprised too looking at the score today. I just didn't expect them. I thought that Kansas was pretty much on the same level as West Virginia was. But yeah, I didn't really expect them to lose by 31 to Kansas, and that team does not look like a team that'll make a bowl. I know I had them in my bowl projections. I guess honestly, I guess it was as a placeholder in the Liberty Bowl, but yeah, that team just doesn't look like they'll be able to beat a lot of the teams that are remaining on their schedule.
No, I think it's going to be a struggle for them moving forward. Their schedule's pretty tough.
Yeah, they got like it's funny in these bigger conferences how some schools receive the short end of the stick and some receive like a better draw, like Army last year with the American, and we talked about Rice before going live. How Rice has a tough draw. Like West Virginia has a very tough draw in the Big 12. I mean, I don't know, what equation, what random number generator was used for them this year, but it's
They
not
got the
good.
wrong one.
they got the wrong random number generator. So hopefully they can pull it together, win a game, or maybe they'll get some of that 1965 Liberty Bowl magic. I mean that's I gotta bring that up. I talk about that a little bit more later on. I mean that's the only thing exciting I think about West Virginia football this week and for the rest of the season. That 1965 Liberty Bowl rematch. Uh, so going on to my rankings, Bobby. So honestly, I feel like there's a lot of similarity with our rankings. For me, I have Penn State at number one, Navy at number two, Syracuse at
Hold
number
on.
three.
You still have mine up.
Well, okay, there we go. I was like, okay, I was reading it like nothing happened. There we go. Okay, so for me, there I have Penn State at number one, Navy at number two, Syracuse at number three, Delaware at number four, and this one was kind of tough for me because I kind of wanted to put Rutgers there, but I really feel like Delaware might have the better resume too, part because Miami also lost to UNLV, so Miami's still a winless team. Um, but I don't know. That's interchangeable. But like Delaware at four, Rutgers at five, West Virginia at six, seven, or Pitt at seven, UConn at eight above Army, Army at nine, Temple at 10, rising above Buffalo, and then at 11, and then Boston College at 12, 13 at UMass. At the bottom, it's kind of interesting because, like I said before, like Temple looked impressive against Georgia Tech at
Hmm.
times. They were competitive into the second half, and that's really all you could ask for that Temple team. They definitely improved from Oklahoma the prior week. And then in terms of Buffalo, Buffalo did not look good, but they also have an FBS win, something Boston College does not have. So, um, I mean, I guess I got to give it to them. But with that, I'd have to say my biggest pleasant surprise of the weekend. I'd have to say in a losing effort, I have to say Rutgers. Honestly, I mean, the offense looked really good against Iowa. Ethan Kaliakmanis is here to play ball. And I firmly believe that if he would have won that one, I think he would have cemented himself so far as a September Heisman dark horse. He had 330 yards, but I just think the defense and the special teams really shocking show on special teams from a Greg Schiano coach team. But still, like for Rutgers playing Iowa, like that's not typically a series that they keep close. For them to put 28 points in that tough Iowa defense, it is a very pleasant surprise. And I do think that, I mean, looking at their schedule, I mean, they should be able to pull out one win that they shouldn't be able to win to get to bowl eligibility. So I'd say Rutgers on Friday night was probably my pleasant surprise. Now for my disappointment, it is Buffalo because that team, and I know this is a quarterback you know well, that team without Taquan Roberson just looked broke, honestly. After he went down, like the offense couldn't even move enough to preserve a 17-point lead against a Troy team that had really no pulse on offense the past few weeks against any FBS competition. I mean, so with Buffalo, especially with Taquan Roberson doubtful this week against UConn, I don't think it's looking good against the Huskies for them. And they do benefit by having a weaker draw in the schedule for the MAC, but I mean, I'm looking at it like this team looks like a team that can win 6 games, and I think 6 games, maybe 7 games is their ceiling. But I mean, this is just different than the team that we both thought could contend for the MAC title, especially Aljay Henderson. Once again, did not have a 100-yard game. I think he had less than 4 yards a carry once again against the Troy defense. So um, it's just tough. It's just been tough sledding for Buffalo. Really, I mean, I think the Kent State game revealed a lot, and the Troy game continued to build on that. So Buffalo has been my biggest disappointment this week.
Yeah, and I've kind of done a deep dive into them because we play them this coming week, obviously. And my UConn preview, Pete Callan, is out, so I won't get too deep into it. But Aljay Henderson only having 3.8 yards per carry throughout the season thus far is not something that I thought would happen.
Yeah, I'm very surprised, honestly. I'm not sure what it is because it seemed like I guess they had uh, good pieces on the line returning. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I really don't have any answers. I'm definitely not an X's and O's guy. I'm definitely more of a writer than an X's and O's guy. But for X's and O's, I mean, Bobby, that's a great time to plug your preview. I'll definitely be listening to that tomorrow at my desk, getting ready for that one for I want to say the only matchup this week between two Lambert Trophy
Yep.
eligible teams. So it may
Yep.
not be
Yep.
between teams that are in the top levels of the award, but they are Lambert eligible nonetheless. So there's that. So this week, though, I guess that's a good segue for our games this week. So Buffalo UConn makes up a slate that has, just looking at the bottom up, we got UMass Missouri. Yikes, I guess to say the least.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I hate it for my UMass fans. Third quarterback already this year. Ahmad Haston's giving it a go, which Ahmad Haston had good moments last year, but he was also in the Don Brown scheme, which was a more simplified scheme that was backed on running end. Ahmad Hardy had quite the game against Louisiana. I really fear for what he'll do to that UMass defense.
He can
But
play.
he is quite a dog. Um, Thursday night Army ECU, a game that of course I'm looking forward to. I mean, should be it's always great to see Army on a standalone game on a Thursday night. Might not be a must win for the Black Knights, but you can make the argument that it is, to be honest, with the way that I guess with the way that the Americans shaping out. So, um, also to Utah, West Virginia, as we mentioned this Saturday, the 1965 Liberty Bowl rematch, or sorry, 1964 Liberty Bowl rematch. That was the first bowl game played indoors at Atlantic City's convention or Boardwalk Hall. Anytime you want to see footage of that one, just look it up on YouTube. It's quite the spectacle. That game being in Atlantic City because Philadelphia was simply too cold for that one. So, but otherwise, that's only delight for that game in my eyes. And then we got Rice Navy, and that one that we were talking about this one before was like this one. You said that this game might end in 2 hours with two offenses. We were both impressed with Rice on the As for Football College Football Roundtable podcast. This earlier this week, I just mentioned that I think I'm going on a press run for Rice with how much I've talked about their option offense from the off season, and then now doing it, and I'm doing it again during the season. But man, that one should be good. I do think that the national or I think the betting lines aren't giving Rice enough credit in this one. I think 14 and a half points is too high. I think if anything be like a 10 to 14 point swing. Not giving betting advice, but I just think Rice is better than people think, especially on defense. The offense steals headlines, but that defense, man, they swarm around. So those are the games that are, I guess, aren't really the focus of our discussion, but are still there for Lambert Trophy. So, Bobby, I guess for our discussion, just going to the main points. So, the ACC has a very good slate with Lambert eligible teams of games. So, we got Pitt, Louisville, Boston College, Cal, and then Syracuse, Duke. Out of those three matchups between Pitt, BC, and Syracuse, which of those schools has the most to prove in the Lambert Trophy race, and which has the most to lose?
Well, I think Pitt definitely has an opportunity to to move up the ranks again because especially for me personally, I'm looking at like, okay, what they can bump ahead of West Virginia here. I think we can all kind of see that coming. But they also still have, and Syracuse does as well. They both have an opportunity to still compete for the ACC title with where they're sitting. It's going to be a little bit harder for Syracuse now because of the quarterback injury, like I mentioned earlier. That's why I kind of go with Pitt in this game or in this discussion here as an opportunity to kind of jump up the ranks a little bit, just to kind of gain some momentum going forward. That Syracuse Duke game is going to be really fun too, just to see what Syracuse looks like moving forward.
Yeah, I think I agree with Pitt with your point on Pitt having the most to prove. I can almost kind of talk myself into putting Pitt at number two, honestly, number two or number three in the rankings because Louisville's had a good start to the season. I will say that part of me also too wants to say that Boston College can gain much from beating Cal, but I mean, I think for them, it's just I think that the loss to Stanford's too much to overlook because I
Mm-hmm.
really think that's just a really bad loss, honestly. And then the Cal loss or beating Cal loses its luster after they got blown out 34-0 last week against San Diego State, which probably the most surprising result of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Syracuse Duke. I really think if Syracuse wins that one, I don't think it really helps them all too much. Like Duke is in the middle. I mean, I think they'll make a bowl, but they're not that special. I mean, I don't think that they're a team that's going to contend for the ACC title per se, um, as Louisville would. So um, I'd have to mostly agree with you there on Pitt having the most to gain and potentially vaulting himself into the top five or top three even of this award. I'd have to say I might even have to say they beat Louisville. Might even have to slide them above Delaware. Honestly, we'll just have to see. Um, but with that, staying in the Keystone State, so Penn State, Oregon obviously is the game that is on everyone's mind nationally, not just from a Lambert Trophy perspective. And I know we joked how it's like, man, discussing Penn State as the front runner is just so boring, and it is because they look like the most talented team on this list and the most talented team in the standings. They definitely play the toughest schedule, but will probably have the best resume of any of these teams when it's all said and done,
Mm-hmm.
even with one or two losses. So, with that, Bobby, if Penn State loses to Oregon, is their slot up top in jeopardy?
Probably not, if we're being honest. I mean, Oregon's one of the best teams in the country. I honestly think Oregon's going to win this game because I trust Dante Moore at quarterback more than I trust Drew Aller. That's not something that I thought I was going to say coming into the season necessarily, just because we didn't know what we were going to get from Dante Moore. Drew Aller is who he is. It seems it's just he just hasn't risen up to the occasion in a lot of these big games. This, of course, is a big game. It's arguably the biggest of the weekend, and there's some great ones this weekend. Um, the whiteout, so I mean, obviously it's going to be crazy there that night. It's going to be insane. But I trust, like I said, I trust Dante Moore to go make a play in the fourth quarter more than I do Drew Aller. But to answer your question, if they lose, I don't. This game's not going to be a blowout. I don't think there's any way that Oregon goes to Penn State and beats them the way like Indiana did to Illinois. That's probably a terrible example because that wasn't just a blowout. That was something nobody could have even imagined happening. But
Yeah.
they're not going to go there and beat them by three scores or whatever. You know what I mean? That's just not going to happen. And from what we've seen from Navy, I think we all agree that Navy's number two. Does Navy jump Penn State even with a loss? I don't think so. Just because I mean, has Navy really put a splendid resume out there thus far? I mean, yes, they're undefeated. They at the end of the day, all that matters is the W. But that hasn't been pretty. Let's just say.
Yeah, I think with Navy, I feel like we won't really know from a Lambert Trophy perspective their resume until they play Notre Dame.
Right.
Really,
Right.
then it'll only get better when they play Memphis. Like those two games, like
Hmm.
I have no reservations handing a 12-0 or 11-1 if it loses to Army Navy team. Um, the Lambert Trophy with wins over Notre Dame, wins over. I think they play USF too. USF, Notre Dame, and Memphis over a Penn State team that loses to Oregon, that loses to Ohio State. Let me see. I think they do play Ohio State. I know Penn State's
Yeah, they
unrivaled.
do.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I know they're unrivaled, so it's hard to keep track sometimes. But yeah, over a Penn State team that's 10-2 with losses to Ohio State and Oregon and a win over Indiana. I mean, I have no reservations because I feel like that is a quality. Those are three quality wins that would trump Penn State's quality wins over Indiana, and then
Well, and also in that scenario you're discussing, they're playing in the American Championship, and Penn State
oh
would not be
yes,
playing in the Big Ten Championship.
yes, that's true. That's a good point, Bobby. I did forget that because of course the language of the Lambert Trophy is the most accomplished team in the Northeast. So I mean, a conference championship berth is definitely an accomplishment. That's something
Hmm.
that a team puts on their resume. While Penn State probably would still make the playoff with two losses, but they would just be a playoff participant, not really. I mean, no conference championship or anything. Um, so I do think that's interesting. It could open the door for a domino effect, or yeah, a domino effect that would vault Navy to the top. But of course, Navy still has to do everything that they have to in
Hmm.
winning this award. I would also say too that if Syracuse runs the table the rest of the way, like I definitely think that they are more
Oh,
than deserving
absolutely.
too. I
Yeah.
know we're talking about Navy right now because they are number two, but Syracuse too at that point. I mean, just running the table in the ACC, which is, I mean, has plenty of good teams. I mean, teams that look like they can win 10 games. I mean, Syracuse as well. This could end up being a three-team race if Penn State loses those top five games against Ohio State and against Oregon. So definitely something to watch. And it starts too. It's great. I know NBC doesn't get the best games for the Big Ten on a week by week basis, but I mean they benefited from being able to pick before the season. I mean this is good. I'm excited to see, um, you know how they do with the presentation there. I always enjoy NBC's presentation. So that one, of course, 1995 Rose Bowl rematch. So it should be fun. Got a lot of bowl rematches this week on the slate. So very interesting. Buffalo Yukon, yeah, Buffalo Yukon. That's also a bowl rematch. 2009 in International Bowl. So
That's right.
yeah, Donald Brown. Whew, what a back. Donald Brown sure was something.
Oh, that was a good day.
Yeah, well, it was a very good day. It was a very good day for you guys. But yeah, I kind of missed that bowl too. Actually, now that I think about it, so I miss having a bowl in Canada. It's just so intuitive. I mean, the Bahamas Bowl is great, but having a bowl in Canada for the MAC, it's intuitive. I don't know why they ever stopped doing that.
It makes sense.
It does make a lot of sense. So that should conclude our discussion for today. So again, like just a good slate of games this coming weekend. I would say there's a lot of shifting to even as we enter week 5. I mean, in our discussion, like 2 through 13, okay, 2 through 12. Sorry, UMass. 2 through 12 is a puzzle like that. We could have a million different answers. Like just depends
Hmm.
on you know on I guess how we feel each day. But Bobby, I guess before we sign off, do you have anything final to add?
Just looking forward to another great slate of games. I think, like we've mentioned these games. You got one we didn't mention. Rutgers at Minnesota is interesting as
Oh,
well.
okay. Yep. Yep.
Just
Think that one.
the anything Cali McManus Bowl. Let's just call that what it is. But that'll be fun. But yes, there's some great games this week. I mean, obviously, the eyes of college football will be on Penn State, Oregon. My eyes, of course, will be on UConn, Buffalo, because of me. But I can't wait for you guys' game Thursday as well. I think that's a very intriguing game, and I'm glad it's a standalone game because I think it's going to be fun for all of us as college football fans to watch. And then I hope everybody gets the chance to watch Rice and Navy
Yeah.
because that's what Rice has done to implement that system. I'll just say, as somebody who was a part of that system, um, it is to do it as quickly as they've done it is so impressive. And I give that coaching staff and those players so much credit for what they've done because it's not easy. Um, Obviously, we know Army and Navy do it each and every year, but for that transition for Rice with what they're doing, it's just been really, really impressive to watch.
Yeah, exactly. And I know, like we were talking beforehand, like that they're doing it with guys that stayed in the system. Like
Right,
there was no
right.
influx of talent. Like Quentin Jackson, Dalen Alexander, guys that stayed in the system. Chase Jenkins too. Chase Jenkins probably could have transferred. After they moved
Hmm.
him to wide receiver, and even that goes down to his backup too, Drew DeVilliers, like who started against UConn last year. I mean, he's not really fit for the offense, but he's staying with it, I guess. So I
Hmm.
think that speaks a lot for the culture already that Scott Abell has implemented at Rice. So I mean, yeah, like you hit it on the head, Bobby. Like I think that one is it's a dark horse game of the week. And then like you said, for Rutgers, Minnesota, that one's a good one too because Rutgers, I think Minnesota's a game that they can steal and
Hmm.
better position themselves for bowl eligibility. And I guess to be honest with you, like they actually do need it. I mean, because yeah, Maryland looks better than any of us thought. So they actually might need this game more than we think. So I mean
Right.
that was a huge one for Rutgers too. But I do think that they can steal that one from Minnesota. And then for Army ECU, like you said, like being in the American, it's great. I mean, but a lot of fans too miss the days of independence. Getting to play power conference teams. But I think this game is a good reminder with everything happening. And I know you discussed it on the UConn podcast with Pete about the ACC going to a 9-game schedule. All these conferences going to 9-game schedules, the power conference requirements. I mean, having standalone games like this it just shows that being in a conference, you know, has its benefits to independence, at least for Army fans. I know some Army fans might miss the good days where we played a couple power conference teams a year, but like those days are almost long gone. They're about to be long
Hmm.
gone for Army. So, this is a good consolation. There's two years in a row of Thursday night games on ESPN. I mean, being the epicenter of the college football universe. I mean, yeah, not the football universe because a lot of people are going to be watching Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime, but
They shouldn't. They shouldn't be.
I don't blame them because I mean the NFL is the biggest entertainment juggernaut in the country
Right.
right
Right.
now. I don't blame them, but I mean, yeah, being the epicenter of the college football world, like that's special, honestly. Like that's the stuff that players dream of, and it's happening for Army. So yeah, we may not be able to play a few power conference teams anymore, um, be a national program, but yeah, like the Army ECU game, I'm just excited for it because heck, I don't care if we go 4-8 this year. If we win the Thursday night game and we beat Air Force and Navy, I mean that's enough for me to smile on. And then we beat Kansas State, I guess, like that's enough for me to smile about. So um, yeah, I guess I mean just parroting what you said, Bobby, about just this week being so exciting. Um, but until next time, everyone, thank you for joining. Thank you for just being so committed to Northeast football like us. and being invested in this trophy. And until next time, everyone. Oh, well, first, Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you. Be gracious to you. And until next time, everyone. Peace, love, and soul, and the Burger Popper.